welcome back to a new episode of Mama Pacific. Whilst I'm out and about in quest of new adventures, I'm happy to share with you some travel tales from the past. In this episode you get to travel with me to the Czech Republic and Poland, a trip we took back in summer 2023. So, let's go! We leave our home in the Swiss Alps in our tiny car for a month-long road trip. Our first stop is Regensburg, a pretty city at the riverbanks of the Danube. It is here that the Danube reaches its northernmost point before turning to a southeast direction on its way to the Black Sea. Regensburg is known for its well-preserved medieval core with a 12th century stone bridge and its St. Peter Cathedral from the 13th century. We enjoy a nice dinner in the beer garden of the Dome and stretch our legs with a walk in the old town. The next day we continue to the Czech Republic's capital, Prague. I've been in Prague with my husband in 2012, but to be honest, I mainly remember grieving and crying a lot as I lost somebody close to me shortly before that trip. I do remember, however, the traditional sweet trdelník, a Bohemian sweet pastry made from yeast dough. The dough is rolled into strips wrapped around a cylindrical spit called a trdlo and baked over hot coals. Once baked, it is coated in a mixture of sugar and cinnamon or nuts for a delicious finish. I can safely report the kids also like it. We visit the Prague Castle, an UNESCO monument with a tradition of over 1000 years, and walk over the famous Charles Bridge, a medieval stone arch bridge, and also pay the Chuchle Arena, a horse sports complex, a visit. After a few days, we leave the charming city of Prague, which we enjoyed a lot, and head into Poland to Wrocław. Wrocław has numerous historical landmarks. On our first day in the city, we paid the Centennial Hall, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a visit. The Centennial Hall is a pearl of modernism designed by Max Berg. When it was built, it was the most impressive reinforced concrete structure in the world. But workers did not trust the structure and were afraid to remove the casting. They feared the building would collapse immediately. With a capacity of over 10,000 people, it is nowadays used for cultural and sporting events. Apparently, it only survived the war because it was an excellent orientation point for airstrikes. We strolled through the beautiful gardens around the hall and spent some time admiring the multimedia fountain, an amazing combination of light, sound, and water. We head to the Old Town. The main market square charms with its colourful houses and the old Gothic Town Hall with its large astronomical clock. We also learn about the famous Wrocław's dwarfs, who have become a symbol of the town. The history of the dwarfs started in the 80s. The Polish anti-communist underground movement, Orange Alternative, decided to fight the government by painting graffiti of little dwarfs on city walls. The first little sculpture of a dwarf was only placed in 2003. Now there are as many as 800 across the town. Each dwarf has its own character, outfit, and profession. We are hooked. For the rest of our time in Wrocław, we are on a hunt for dwarfs. Oh, and I cannot go without mentioning the food. The restaurant scene is insane. There are so many choices, and we were blown away by everything we tried. Wrocław was a wonderful first stop, and makes us eager to discover more of Poland. Our next stop is Poznan. We only spent a night there on our trip up north. There was some heavy renovations and restorations ongoing in the old town, but I can see the potential this city has. We rent a house by the longest lake in Poland. We spend some quiet days by the waterfront. Every day we head out with our boat, stop for ice creams and enjoy barbecues in the evenings. I invite you to spend some quiet moments on the water with us. After our downtime at the lake, we continue to a far more touristy destination, Gdansk. We stop for a break at Malbork, where we stroll through the castle and feel like kings and queens. We only spent a full day in Gdansk and explored the old town mainly on foot. As pretty as the city is, it's not our favorite stop of the trip. It feels very crowded and somehow we just don't get the vibe. To gain another perspective of the city, we take a boat, a pirate boat to be precise, which takes us to the infamous Westerplatte. It is here where the first clash between Polish and German forces took place during the invasion of Poland. Thus, it is here where World War II began. We are now ready for some beach time and continue to Weber. The first day we spend at the beach and are not alone. Also, the town feels like one big party. The house we rent is on the outskirts and offers serenity. Our favorite things we experience on this trip are the moving sand dunes, sometimes referred to as the Polish Sahara. They are up to 30 meters high and they move several meters a year. It is fascinating to see how the trees who are now standing in the sand die. We realize that as soon as we walk a bit, we have the beach to ourselves. And this is exactly what we are doing for the next few days. last stop on this trip is Stettin, where we visit a good friend of ours. We explore Stettin and enjoy some time with good company.
Oh, the cow we can do also.
Stettin, the capital of West Pomerania, is a green city and very walkable. We stroll along the boulevard of the Oder River, see the 3 historic cranes and sculptures highlighting the maritime character of the city. We climb up the clock tower of St. James Arch Cathedral and enjoy a drink in Café 22, located on the 22nd floor of the city's highest building. Even though the city is pretty small, there is a lot to discover. Especially the architecture captures us. For example, the Philharmonic, as well as the Maritime Science Center. Just behind the Maritime Science Center, you find a holiday park, where you can enjoy some rides, for example, on the Wheel of Stettin. And just like that, our Poland adventures come to a close. Poland surprised us. We thoroughly enjoyed our month-long trip across this not so well-known but extremely diverse European destination. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I'll catch you next week with another exciting travel tale.